Let's start this off with a quick disclaimer. Please keep in mind that just because rappers are in this series does not mean I hate them or dislike them. It just means my subs have requested me to do a video on them. You may notice there's a question mark in the title, meaning some of these rappers may not be the worst. We are asking the question, are they the worst rappers in the game? Hell, I may love some of these rappers I do in this series. All I ask is you stick around to the end to see my actual opinions before commenting, oh what the fuck, this rapper is dope, and disliking. With that all being said, thank you for listening and let's get right into this video. Oh, did someone say third upload of the week? I think they fucking did. Jacques Webster, better known by his stage name Travis Scott, is a rapper from Houston, Texas, who has released 4 projects since 2013. Now in preparation for this video, I listened to 3 of those, and those 3 were Days Before Rodeo, Rodeo, and Birds in the Trap Sing McKnight. You might also recognize him from one of his popular meme songs called Upper Echelon. If that doesn't sound familiar, it goes something like this. Now, this video, as I'm going to do from now on, was voted for by my Patreon supporters. So if you want to have a say in who I do next in this series and you want to vote, you can do so by pledging as little as $2 to me on Patreon. The link is in the description below. But with that being said, guys, today we're going to be asking the question, is Travis Scott one of the worst rappers in the game? Let's find out.
And then we sleep through day, then we play all through the late night. Sleep through day, then we play all through the late night.
And with part 1, we'll be looking at the voice and delivery of Travis. So I'm sure if you know Travis Scott, you'll know that he is a heavy user of autotune. And for the most part, I think Travis knows how to use it well. He uses it more as a way to add an ominous atmosphere to his music and as a stylistic choice, rather than using it as a crutch. One song where I feel like his autotune perfectly fits the tone is the song Outside. It has a very dark, dripping beat, and Travis's voice here really lends to that sound.
All my niggas outside ain't going in. Yeah. We been hanging outside.
That's probably the biggest upside to Travis using autotune. He uses it so that it massively complements the production, and he can make it work well. I don't want to insult Future in a video that's not really about him, but he'll use autotune over any type of beat, whether it should have that type of sound or not. Whereas Travis knows how to make his voice work well. By far my favourite example of this is the hook on 3500. The low driving synths along with the deep bass in his voice work perfectly together here.
In the city moving slow, 3500 for the coat. Only real niggas keep you flow. Only true niggas I know.
Also, he has tracks where he actually doesn't use autotune, and he actually has a very good voice for rapping. Sometimes I wish he would actually rap like this more often. An example of this is on the song Don't Play. There are multiple songs where he doesn't actually use autotune, and his voice works really well without it. The fact that he can do both styles shows that he's actually a pretty versatile artist, whereas some people may mistake him for a very generic rapper if they only heard his big singles. His music isn't exactly groundbreaking, but it's really not generic either. I guess my only real complaint is this autotune can occasionally drain some of the emotion out of his delivery. Also, sometimes his autotune doesn't work as good as it could on some tracks. Like, for me it sounds out of place in certain parts of 90210, but that's the worst I can say about his voice. Now it's best to rate it compared to other people have done in this series so far. Now I gave Rae Sremmurd a 6 out of 10 for their voice and delivery, and I feel like Travis is more consistent with his vocals. And whereas Rae Sremmurd had some songs where their vocals were kind of harder to listen to, Travis doesn't have many tracks at all like that. So for that reason, and for the way that Travis utilizes his voice effectively, he's gonna get a 7.5 out of 10 for this. The only thing that really drags it down is the points mentioned above, and the fact that sometimes his voice can become monotonous if he keeps the same style for too many tracks in a row. Now part 2, we'll be looking at his flow. One thing I've noticed is that when Travis raps, instead of doing his singing, he can flow to a beat insanely well. Also, if you don't believe me on that, check out his XXL cypher. I never knew he could spit like that before I heard it. In his most recent album, there's a lot more singing than there is rapping from Travis, and honestly that sometimes takes away from the nice flows that he could have. Now I'm not saying he can't have good singing flows, it's just that in general his best ones are when he's rapping. For example, Antidote mostly consists of high-pitched singing from Travis, and it works but carries the track along pretty slowly. Then about 3 minutes in there is a rapping segment and he flows so well during it.
Stacking up day to day, young nigga, you know you gotta go get it, my nigga. They hating, they staking, they waiting. Don't be mistaken, we dying, they stand. Lord, I'm on fire, they thinking I'm safe.
The way he just managed to fit in the words and weave them into the bars sounded so nice. For me, Travis is best when he raps like this. Another great flow he has is the rapping segments on Days Before Rodeo, The Prayer. Honestly, this might have been one of my favourite flows I've ever heard from Travis. Just some nice, steady rapping that fits the tempo of the beat perfectly. I also love this flow in the song Outside. Of course, he also has some flows that I'm not really that big on. His flow in Quintana Part 2 was really uninteresting to me and it just kind of had me waiting for the next track. I also had the same issue with the song Grey, and that's an occasional issue I find with Travis. Sometimes he just doesn't interest me in the flow area. And it bugs me because he clearly can pull off good flows regularly. So I'm gonna give Travis a 7.5 flow-wise. He honestly has some great flows and they're pretty much always good when he's rapping with his regular voice, but sometimes he can be a bit inconsistent with them. Now for part 3, we're going to be looking at his lyrics and lyrical content. He does have some decent lyrics and wordplay here and there, but I feel like he doesn't focus on lyrical techniques as much as other people might do. This isn't an issue when all the other parts of your music can actually make up for this, but this always has been something we look at in this series by itself. I feel like overall, Travis really tries to keep his lyrics simplistic, and it was hard for me to find many examples of impressive lyrical ability. There were a few metaphors here and there, like for example, antidote apparently refers to drugs, and specifically hotboxing a car. Hence why he says, don't you open up that window, don't you let out the antidote. So there's a little bit of an extended metaphor there. Then there's the occasional play with words, such as this line from Wasted.
I can't afford this shit. Go to war with this, you overboard, I'm overboard with shit.
So here and there, there's a few minor examples, but to be fair, it's the same with his bad lyrics. He doesn't really have too many that stand out to me as cringe-inducing lyrics. At worst, he just makes very basic comparisons. For example, there's a line on pornography where he says, I'ma make them take the fall like August. It's not downright bad, just very simplistic, and it's been said before in better ways. There's also a pretty corny line on the intro to Days Before Rodeo.
House full of snow bunnies putting trees up like it's Christmas, Easter.
I feel like I always have to say this when I call out lyrics, but yes, it does make sense, kind of, but that doesn't make it good. It's just a fairly awkward line. So for me, he's not lyrically amazing, but he doesn't have enough bad lines to be lyrically awful. So he's pretty much right on the average for me. It doesn't seem like lyrics is the main focus at all for Travis, so he's gonna get a 5 out of 10 for this segment. Now part 4, we're gonna be looking at his beat selection. For the most part, I'm a big fan of the darker style that Travis uses. He really focuses on selecting beats that create an eerie cloud-like atmosphere in his music, and it's something that I love. The sound of his beats became a bit cleaner and slightly more commercial towards Birds in the Trap sing McKnight, but they were still good. There's also some interesting experimentation in some of his beats. For example, on the beat for a track I love called Piss on Your Grave, it kicks off with some very interesting rock production. Now, I honestly do not like rock at all. Some people in my comments assume I do because I'm white, but I really don't like rock. However, that beat sounds nice and is a really interesting change of pace on the album. I was also a huge fan of the mostly raw and grimy production on the song Zombies. Travis regularly uses dark, spacey beats, but I haven't heard him over many gritty beats like this one. Another one I loved in a similar style was the beat for Nightcrawler. That little siren sound in the background really adds to it. As for examples of beats I didn't like, there aren't too many, but I thought the one for Sweet Sweet was really repetitive and it got boring to me pretty fast. Run it up. All this game. Also, I thought the beat for Guidance was alright, but it really did not suit Travis at all, or the overall sound of the project it was found on. But there really aren't too many low points in terms of his production, and overall I love the general spacey and tripped out production that he chooses. It really suits his persona and the messages he puts across in his music. He definitely knows how to select the right beats for his music, so I'm gonna give him an 8.5 out of 10 for this segment. Really not too many beats that I dislike at all. And now, part 5, our final part, will be looking at my overall enjoyment of Travis's music. So as always, for our final segment, I'll be telling you guys how much I enjoyed each of Travis's projects I looked at for this video, and then summarize it into a score out of 10. So as I said, the 3 I checked out are Days Before Rodeo, Rodeo, and Birds in the Trap sing McKnight. If I had to rank them from my favourite to least favourite, it would go Rodeo as my best, Days Before Rodeo in the middle, and Birds in the Trap sing McKnight is my least favourite. So let's start with my favourite, Rodeo. This album was pretty damn fantastic to me, with a strong beginning, middle, and ending. singing. I honestly didn't expect to like it as much as I did, but there were only 3 tracks on here that I didn't like, and those were 90210, Flying High, and Apple Pie. Everything else was great to me. My favourite track on here had to be 3500. It had an amazing hook and a great beat, and it's just been stuck in my head all day. It also had a good feature from 2 Chainz, and I can tolerate Future on it. I honestly didn't mind that it was over 7 minutes long. I listened to the whole thing every time. I also love the really aggressive and loud sound of Piss on Your Grave, where Kanye drove home one of his angrier performances. All the features on here were great actually. I was surprised to hear Justin Bieber actually having a short rapping segment on Maria I'm Drunk. No lie, he actually had a really nice flow and everything. It was genuinely a good verse and it surprised me. Overall it was just a solid album. Then we get to the one which is second place for me, which is Days Before Rodeo. Now this had a similar style to Rodeo, obviously, as they were quite related, but had a much grittier and rawer sound. I still really love this mixtape, but it didn't live up to what Rodeo was for me. Favourite tracks for me on here were the intro track, Don't Play, Drugs You Should Try, and Zombies. And that's just the highlights. I pretty much like all of the tracks on here. This also is the project that I listened to that contained the most rapping from Travis, which is a big plus. Still a very solid project. Then we get to my least favourite, which is Birds in the Trap. Now don't get me wrong, I still like this project. It just stood out to me as definitely being my least favourite, no question about it. This project definitely had a much more refined and clean sound compared to his previous two. This one also had a lot less variety in the vocals, with pretty much every track being comprised mainly of autotune singing and rapping with vocal filters. And that's a shame because I really prefer the raw and varied Travis Scott style, although this does contain some of my favourite songs from Scott, such as Through the Late Night and Goosebumps. Also, another small gripe I have with it that's unrelated to the music is the fact that it doesn't display the features in the titles of the tracks. It's really irritating because there's a lot of features on here and I have to go to fucking Wikipedia to find out who they are if I don't know them. So overall, I think I can definitely say I thoroughly enjoyed the Travis albums that I checked out, with them ranging from good to brilliant. I'm gonna give Trav an 8 out of 10 here. I genuinely think I'm gonna come back to his music often, and I've finally found a new rapper that I really like from this series. So as an overall score, Travis gets 36.5 out of 50, which is the highest score we have had so far in this series, just narrowly beating Rae Sremmurd. Now, I definitely think that this accurately reflects my opinion, and therefore, Travis will take our top spot right now as the best rapper we have looked at in this series so far. I used to say best of the worst, but that's not really the case. I wouldn't count Travis as one of the worst. He is a good rapper, and he does not deserve to be called one of the worst rappers in the game. So Travis is the best we have looked at so far. Rae Sremmurd had that spot for about 6 episodes now, which is a long time, about 10 weeks maybe. So it's very impressive that there is finally a rapper now that can take their spot, so congratulations to Travis. We still have Kodak Black as our worst rapper in the game currently, and you can check out the full list if you want to on RateYourMusic.com. The link will be at the top of the description below. Or if you can't be bothered, the list itself is also in the description, so if you can't be bothered to visit the Rate Your Music page, it's also there. The Rate Your Music page is kind of just if you want visuals to go along with the names, because it has a little picture of the rapper. But there we go guys, that is going to conclude it. Congratulations to Travis. Okay, so now this is the outro. If you don't care about what I have to say here, you can click off the video now. If you didn't see my last video, I now have an Instagram and Snapchat account under the username CDTVProductions. That's all in lowercase for the Snapchat account. And on my Instagram account, I actually did a giveaway for Travis Scott's Rodeo. It's a very small giveaway, just one single physical copy of an album. But I'm going to choose the winner for that soon on my Instagram and announce it through there. So if you guys want to take part in any future giveaways I may be doing, like in the future I plan to do a lot bigger ones, like maybe giving away vinyls or something. So if you guys want to be a part of that, just follow me on Instagram, follow me on Snapchat just to keep, if you want to see kind of what I do in my daily life, I guess. Or what I'm doing with new videos, that kind of stuff. I just post random shit on my Snapchat, to be fair. Or if you just want to message me personally. Patreon link is also in the description below. As I said, for as little as $2, you can choose who I do next in Worst Rappers in the Game. And you also get access to my Patreon feed. For as little as $5, you get access to early videos. Also share this video if you want to. I guess that helps a lot. I've noticed usually the most viewed ones are the most shared. So share this video if you agree with me. Look out for those retarded comments saying, what the fuck, Travis isn't one of the worst rappers in the game, man. Why are you putting him on this list? Hopefully I'll see you all in my next video. The next top 10 list is going to be 10 most heartbreaking rap songs, and I'll hopefully see you guys all there. This is CDTV Productions, signing out.